I can assure you. The best way to get people is to invite them as a friend. Say, pare, I'm going to Capiao. That will, even in the 70s, we learned that. You can stand in front of a class and talk to them. Maybe one or two might come. But the best way still is to invite. Think about when people say the same thing. They went there for a friend. Well, the first 4 to 10 went there for something else. But when they grew to 100, because the others say, I went for a friend and I got hooked and invited other friends. Which is the same way if you look at the call of the disciples in the Gospel of John. John points to Jesus and these two follow him, and then they go and call the others. No? They say, well, that's the way it is. No? The disciples were one by one, and it's they invite, say, come, we found the Messiah, come with us. They may be skeptical, but they come.
Sorry. So it's all about inviting people, making sure that you're not alone in this endeavor.
Yes. And you'll find once you're there that as everybody else that I've seen, that I've worked with, whether it's Payata Stresse or Gabaldon, or now that we're building in Capiao, what you find eventually is, if they do go, they find at the end of the day that they're very, very tired in the building, but they're in touch with reality, and they begin to see that there is hope. Because they see something concrete happening, and they see the possibility of change of life for simple people. It's a question of the heart, and it's a question of, ultimately these are questions of the heart and questions of relationships with people. That is eventually what transforms you. The same way with the Gospels. Eventually, it's not your intellectual theology that changes you. It's your relationship with God ultimately, and it's a relationship. It's the same thing here. No?
Okay. Sorry. This is just one last question. Sure. What do you think is the future of GK-Ateneo? Where do you think it's going from here?
Oh, well, we have more sites. That's one. We're building a new one in Capiao. We're starting a feeding program for about 8,000 children in Leyte, in 3 towns, and we're also working with a lot of other GK sites, Batayan and other places. That's one. But the other one is GK-Ateneo is spearheading together with the sociology department what we call the impact assessment study, where we're now doing a full database of all the GK communities. It's not perfect, but we have a very good start. And we have gotten I think the full data, which is both the demographic data as well as some sense of where they are, the answers to the questions to them. And Mark Lawrence Cruz and others are now going community by community and feeding them their profile. This is what your profile says. Nandito kayo in terms of your demographics, pag-aaral ng mga bata, quality of life in the community, yung pagtutulugan ninyo, and so forth. And now, based on that, let's talk about the future. What will be your priorities for the future? So that's where we are now with them, and it will be a help for each community to plan better, to grow. Because at the end of the day, GK is not just about building houses. No? It is really about helping the families move out of poverty. So now we can track better how they're moving and maybe get best practices and learn from the others. The other big direction is social enterprise. That and for me, education. That we're now trying to ask communities more and more, how are they planning for the education of their children? Nag-iipon ba sila sa pag-aaral ng mga anak nila? Are they saving for fixing their house? Their house will not last forever, and so on. So, moving them to think of the future. So we're moving forward on them. But the other big thing with GK is that it's learning now that in order to achieve the goals that we have to partner with other groups. So there are some very big partnerships, like with Life Bank, which is a very big group, Happy Noy and others. So we're realizing now, and what GK realizes is the core of what GK does is really ultimately not building houses. If we can partner with NHA, we can eventually do that. In fact, we have done that in Iloilo. In Iloilo, GK Iloilo under Mary Rose Cacho has partnered with NHA. NHA has built 1,000 houses, and for people who used to live by the river. But GK is doing the family formation, which is really the strength of GK, is the family and community formation. They also allowed us to paint the houses in GK colors, not the very monotone colors of NHA. So the same thing with Life Bank. What GK does is to help in the formation of the families. So that way you can work with many other groups who work on the physical material thing. And GK's role is really formation of families and communities. So that's what is becoming clearer, is that the core of Rawat Kalina is really the contributing to the formation of families and communities, the values formation of families. That really is emerging more and more. So in some cases we really have to build the houses because you have to start with that. They have to have some physical security. But it's turning out that in some cases others can do that. And what GK contributes is the family formation. So.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
Father, this is a general question. Knowing that Ateneans coming from different backgrounds, different courses, where does the Atenean, what role does he play in nation building?
Actually, if you just talk about connecting with GK, just as the simplest thing, there are many other ways of talking about. Let's just talk about that. We find that we find that the business organizations are very important because they help in the organization of the community, they help in livelihood, in the social enterprises. The performing arts groups are very important because we have realized that's the best way to help the youth, especially to get out of vices and drugs and to eventually get back to school, is music, drama, music and art, music, drama. So we found actually that every major has a role to play, and you could talk abstractly, but it's much simpler to, like Ali Figueroa used to bring his information design students to GK communities, and he would tell them to help design the environmental community, and they've done a great job. Something like that. It really makes the place much more livable and also helps to interact with the families. So we find actually that every major has a place in the community. And from there, they can begin to see what's their place in the larger society.
Okay, well, last question. I'm from the School of Management, Father. And a lot of what's in the minds of graduating students like me is, especially if you come from the management school, is should we venture into social enterprise immediately upon graduation, or should we go to the corporate first and try it?
People have followed different tracks. So Reese Fernandez and Melissa Yoon went immediately into social enterprise. Melissa came from social development studies, but she eventually had to do a master's in entrepreneurship. But both of them went immediately into that. People like Bam Aquino and Mark Luis first worked outside, then went into social enterprise. So both are valid, and maybe you should talk with them and figure out which one you are. In the case of Bam and Mark, I think they started talking about this even when they were in high school, and I think roughly they promised themselves that when they separated paths, and Bam went to work with government, the Youth Commission, and Mark Luis went to work for not Procter & Gamble, but they're rivals.
Unilever.
Unilever. He went to work for Unilever. And he was pretty high up. He was already moving to the national track. But I think after 7 years of that they graduated in 1999, around 2006, they sat down together and said, we said that someday we're going to talk about what to do for the country. So they both quit their jobs. I guess they had enough savings to survive a year without much income, and in that period they decided to do Happy Noy. So they're both valid, so long as you're not kidding yourself. The skills that you get, and for example, the skills that you get in the outset are useful. Like for Happy Noy, the connections that both had were very useful, so that they could connect their sari-sari stores to Unilever and Procter & Gamble. So both work.
Okay, thank you, Father.
Do you have any? Wala ka na question. So do you have anything else to add, Father? Any insights? Anything you just really want to add?
The only thing I really generally add is what I said, that the best way to get groups is to invite them personally. That's the best way. I've learned that. And of course, you invite them and they invite others. So it's a chain. It's a so if you have a core group, if you form a core group and say each one invite at least one more, you'll soon have a group. And then tell them when they come back that they should share pictures and experiences on Facebook with the others, and say join us next time, or maybe from where they are they could send it out. I can assure you it's still the best way to get people, and people will go for a friend, and they will go because their friends are there. That's one of the things that you'll realize for young people, that they will go for their friends group.
Okay, thank you, Father. Thank you so much for the interview.
Take care.
Could you invite Father the Ateneans to the Ignition?
Oh yeah, sure. Sorry.
Yes.
We forgot.
Yes.
Sorry.